Hey, what's going on, Weavers? Tim here again, and in today's episode we are going to learn one key secret to tying the perfect monkey's fist. So this is not a video on how to tie a monkey's fist, just one often overlooked step that will allow you to tie the perfect looking monkey's fist. Let's get into it. So this secret may not be new to some of you, but I'm sure a lot of you might find this very useful. And that secret is tightening. Tightening a monkey's fist is a step that can either make or break a monkey's fist. So now I'm going to show you the best way to do it in my opinion. So here we have a monkey's fist that's been tied, but it has not been tightened yet. And where you want to start tightening the monkey's fist is the last set of passes you finished with. So I'm going to start by removing the slack from that last set of passes, and I'm going to move it out towards the terminal end. It's going to come out the end that we finished with. And once we've done that, we can do the second set of passes that was tied. So that's one that's perpendicular to that first set you tightened. And this time you're going to move the slack out towards the other terminal end. Okay, so move that slack going back towards where you came from. And of course, last but not least, the very final set of passes. This was the first set of passes I tied while tying this monkey's fist. I'm going to work all that slack out. So that was the first round of tightening and cinching out all the slack. And to keep a monkey's fist nice and even, I suggest you do 2 rounds of tightening. So the first one will remove a bulk of the slack out of the monkey's fist, and then you do a second one to get everything nice and tight. This gradual process of tightening a monkey's fist allows the monkey's fist to come out nice and even without any lopsided areas. So those tips apply to a smaller monkey's fist, such as this 5-pass monkey's fist. Now moving on to larger monkey's fists, I do find that they behave a little bit differently, but you're still going to do about the same process. So now working with this 11-pass monkey's fist that I did over a pool ball, I've removed it from my jig, and again I'm going to start with the set of passes I tied last. Okay, so that's the set that's connected to, I guess you would have the fit on it if you're doing this larger monkey's fist. And I do like to use this sort of side-to-side method where I'm not turning the monkey's fist a whole lot. That way I can really keep track of which way the slack is going, because for those of you that have struggled with tightening a monkey's fist, you might just find yourself going back and forth and losing track of where to pull the slack out. By just holding it facing one way, I can keep track of that much better. Also, if you don't want to use your fingertips and you want to give your fingertips an easier time, you can use needle nose pliers or a fid or marlin spike. So after that third layer of passes has been tightened, I'm actually going to jump to the first layer. So this was the initial layer of monkey's fist passes that I did, and I'm going to tighten that one up second. And I've just found that just due to the way the monkey's fist is tied on a jig, the amount of tension and slack in it is a little bit different. I found the middle set of passes already quite cinched up. So I'm actually going to jump to that first layer because there's a lot more slack there. And I found doing this method, for me at least, gave me a much more even, large monkey's fist. I found this really just applies to these much larger monkey's fists. So I'm going to work that slack out to the terminal end of that very initial set of passes. And again, I'm not trying to tighten my monkey's fist all the way. I'm just gradually removing the slack, and this is just the first round of tightening. So as you can see here, everything has been somewhat cinched up. I still have a good amount of slack in there, but I'm just looking around my monkey's fist to make sure all these sides are nice and even so that it's not lopsided. And what you can do is kind of push down on those strands to make sure they stay in line. Now for the second round, I'm going to go back to that same process of tightening the last layer first, move to the second, and then back to the initial layer, the layer you started with. And I found that this method works best, at least in my experience, with the larger monkey's fist. And again, you can use that side-to-side method of removing the slack to keep track of where you're going. So if any of this was too confusing, I definitely suggest you practice with smaller monkey's fists first. Use something small like a marble, do a simple 3-pass monkey's fist, get really used to the principles and concepts of tying a monkey's fist, and as you move up to the larger ones like around a billiard ball or something greater in size, I feel that, you know, tightening in this order definitely does help with creating a very even monkey's fist. So there we have it. I hope this little tip has helped some of you out there. Try it yourself. Let me know what you think. If you have any of your own tips that you think are great that apply to monkey's fist, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, a huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters. If you guys want access to exclusive videos as well as our Discord, feel free to check out my Patreon page, link in the video as well as down below. I thank you for even considering. Also, you can support this video by liking the video and dropping a comment. If you enjoyed what I did here, feel free to check out what I have to offer on the rest of my channel.